So let's talk about the war on energy. Joe Biden, Line 5 is something we deal with here in Michigan that transports energy back and forth across the Straits of Mackinac. It's been the target of Democrats and leftists for a long time. Not sure why. Line 5 has been a pipe working for 65 years. We know that pipelines work, and I'm guessing the people in East Palestine, Ohio would have preferred a pipeline to move chemicals and liquids other than what happened, that's for sure. But this war on energy started on day one. They just shut down mining in northern Minnesota for rare earth elements. I mean, it just never stops, Congressman. What do we do?
Yeah, it doesn't ever stop. And what we're going to do is today in the Natural Resources Committee, we're going to pass legislation that puts certainty in the timelines for permitting that goes on via the NEPA Act. We're going to make sure that those permits have a time certain that is set. And we're going to put in place policies, and hopefully we can get them through the Natural Resources Committee today that says, hey, it is good to produce energy here in America.
It is good to produce energy here in America. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of oil wells in Michigan. I'm going to guess there's quite a few in Wisconsin too. People don't realize. I mean, we're not Texas. We're not Louisiana. I get that. But we have plenty of energy here in our home states. Plus, American energy is what has been the lifeblood of this nation's economy and its people and its factories and the arsenal of democracy, all of it. America needs vast quantities of cheap energy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's both energy and minerals. And you alluded to that at the top here, Steve, that it is both energy and minerals. And so while we don't have oil wells in Wisconsin, we do have tremendous mineral assets, just like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and just like northern Minnesota. We got enough to cover everything that we do in America. And I would take people back to 1960. There's a mine called the Montreal Mine up on the Wisconsin, Upper Michigan border in Hurley, Wisconsin. John F. Kennedy went there in the campaign of 1960. He went deep into the bowels of the Montreal Mine with his wingtip loafers. And he talked to those miners, and this is 1960, and he said, thank you. Thank you. You had as much to do with winning World War II as anyone here in America. And that's because of producing those minerals that produce the tanks and things like that. We need to be able to produce all those things. And that's, for the life of me, what I don't get from the environmentalists that want to move to wind and solar, these intermittent sources of power. If you want to do that, and if you want to have electrification here in America, you got to produce these things somewhere. Why would we use slave labor in Africa? Why would we run it through China, who clearly is trying to dominate the world here in the 21st century? Let's produce the oil and minerals right here in America, including in the upper Midwest.
Absolutely true. No question about it. I mean, I want to touch on something you said there, Congressman, and that's this. Natural resources in general. America, this piece of real estate that we occupy, has been blessed with more natural resources than any piece of real estate in the world, I believe, because we have timber, we have minerals, like you said, we have energy, we have farmland, we have fresh water, we have great soil, we have natural resources in spades here in America. We've got it. And yet at every turn, the activists, the radicals, oh, we can't farm, we can't use fertilizer, oh, we can't mine, we can't do that, we can't use natural gas, even though we've got more of it than anybody. We can't do anything. And yet America is the cleanest, greenest industrialized nation on earth, isn't it?
There's no doubt about it. And once again, going back to your home state, I would urge people to go to the Eagle Mine, which was just permitted about 20 years ago. It is a modern 21st century mine near Ishpeming, Michigan. Go visit it. If you don't believe us, Steve, go see for yourself, because they do it better than anybody. And we can produce it cleanly, safely here in America.
We certainly can, and there's a couple of other things. The only nickel mine left in America is in Michigan. We also have the purest strains of copper in the world in the Upper Peninsula. That's why they call it Copper Harbor, yet it doesn't get touched anymore. We outsource it, like you said, sir, to slave labor in Africa. We allow these terrible things to go on in China. Why do we allow this to happen, and what can you do about it? Here's the real question. Okay, it's going to be in front of the committee today, and you're going to pass through some potential legislation. But can it get past Chuck Schumer? Can it get past Joe Biden? I mean, these people will stop any good idea dead in its tracks, it seems to me.
Well, take a look at last week, what happened to President Biden with that D.C. crime bill that we put forward. Everybody's like, Biden said, I'm going to veto this. 170 Democrats voted against it. President Biden, when he saw the specter of a couple Democrats choosing to vote with us, he flipped, and now half the Democrats or more of them in the House, they're mad as hell at Biden because President Biden is starting to think about 2024. We need to ramp up the pressure and do these 70% bills that the American public says, this is really good policy here. And this is good policy we're going to pass today. It's going to take the permitting process, rather than making it forever to get a permit, 15 to 20 years, it sets time limits in place. That you got to be able to do these permits and give people a decision within 2 or 3 years. Those type of things are what are contained in this legislation. We need to just put it before the Senate and say, okay, all you senators that are up for re-election in 2024, do you want to stymie the will of the people? That is our challenge in the House. We need to get to 218, pass this stuff out, and let the chips fall where they may.
I agree with you on that every step of the way. Congressman Tom Tiffany here from Wisconsin 7th Congressional District. It seems to me that at some point, even those on the left will wake up and realize, those big wind turbines that use all that petroleum to be built by Siemens, the German company, to come here, they don't return the investment. They also do a lot of damages, we've learned. They kill whales and things like that off the eastern seaboard. They create problems here at home. We need energy we can rely on. Natural gas, oil being done properly. We need these things in America. And I hope that we're on a path soon to wake up, sir. I really do.
Well, and that's why we continue to call attention to it. I'm doing it in my home state of Wisconsin, where they're moving under a Democrat governor, moving to intermittent sources of power. People's electrical bills are starting to skyrocket. You've seen for the first time, we received a warning by an agency that said that for the first time, you guys are under threat of blackouts in Wisconsin. I mean, what we've been hearing happening in California and Western Europe, they're starting to warn us in places like Wisconsin, which has always had a reliable electrical grid. We're going to continue to deliver that message because the American people are going to pay attention when they see that first blackout. And it's coming if we continue to move towards these intermittent sources of power. I believe in all of the above, but you better not be shutting down all the coal and natural gas plants, which right in my district, Superior, Wisconsin, we have almost $1 billion project to produce electricity via natural gas. The Biden EPA has come in and put their thumb on it, and they're trying to stop it. It's going to
We've got to move forward, Congressman. We've got to, it's an all of the above. We have to, but, shutting down nuclear plants and bulldozing coal plants is foolish. I appreciate you being here. It's a very important conversation. Congressman Tom Tiffany from Wisconsin, thank you for being here this morning.